What's up everyone and welcome back to Reload Reacts. My name is Trey and today we are going to look through r/MaliciousCompliance, the subreddit for those who are technically following all of their given directions, but not the spirit of what they actually mean. This post is by Sabertooth Diego. Rental car company told me where to leave my keys and when I left them there, tried to charge me for an extra day, so I refused to give them the car back until last minute. I rented a car for 5 weeks while my car was being repaired from a car accident. The rental company had a couple great policies: no cleaning fee no matter how gross the car was, and unlimited miles. Ideal for me. I live in the country and going anywhere is a drive. When my car was finally scheduled to be finished, a Monday evening, I called the rental car company on Sunday, asked about return details. They said return time would be 5:30 PM Monday, but I could just leave it at the shop and leave the keys in the shop's drop box. I said sure, and next night I went, got my car, left keys in the box, got in my car, and check engine light is on. F. Staff says come back tomorrow and we will fix it. I go home thinking that I will be sitting at the shop all Tuesday because no other ride. Tuesday morning I wake up at 7 AM to the rental car company very angry and saying that they can't get into the drop box and the shop doesn't open until 9. I tell them I just did what they said to do. They told me that they would be charging me an extra day. At that I'm furious. I leave my house later and arrive at the ship at 8:50. Rental car guys aren't there. I sit around and shop opens. I grab the rental keys and give them my car. Right on time, rental car guys appear. They demand the keys and I ask if I'm still getting charged for an extra day. One guy is inspecting the car while the other tells me yes, I'm getting charged an extra day. Guy inspecting it comes over and Day's car is good. It should be ready to rent out immediately. I had it cleaned the day before because I didn't want to be a D. Well, I refused to give him the keys. Since I'm getting charged an extra day, that means it's my car until 5:30 today, right? At that he gets nervous. Says they need the car back. I will give you the keys back now if you don't charge me an extra day. But if I'm charged an extra day, I'm using it. He refuses to bend, so I leave. At this point I'm petty and angry, so I go straight home. I own a farm and it has been raining like mad lately. I get to work. By the time 10 AM rolls around, the car is covered in mud. This black car looks painted brown. I didn't trash the inside because I'm not that petty. I hop in the car and drive to the rental place. I'm pretty covered in mud at this point. I had put trash bags on the front seat to limit it. I walk into the rental place looking like I fell out of a mud pit. The guy who refused to cancel the charge looks horrified. I tell them, this car is great for mudding. I'm gonna go mudding for the rest of the day. Just swing by to ask where to put the keys at 5:30. I'm all smiles and dripping sweetness. I watch the life leave him. His shoulders slump, and he says if I return the car now, they will cancel the charge because they need to rent out the car. I give him the keys and take an Uber to the shop where my car is ready. No cleaning fee and no extra day charge. Ha! Edit. Alright, might as well address the few things y'all are being about, lol. The Uber. I called the Uber after I walked out of a rental car place. It took half an hour to arrive. I had brought extra trash bags, so I stripped down a bit, shorts and undershirt, and put on 2 trash bags that I cut holes in. Put my clothes in a bag. Let the mud on my exposed body parts flake off. Did I look absolutely ridiculous? Yes. Did I get mud in some poor stranger's car? No. I didn't want to actually ruin the day for some kid getting minimum wage. That's why I only mudded the outside. That's pretty easy clean. I didn't want to wreck anyone's day, even the a-hole that charged me. My goal was to make the car messy and shocking enough to get them to not charge me because they were desperate to get it back. If the outside is that bad, what did he do to the inside? The car was $91 effing a day. First 3 weeks $39 a day, and then went up for the last 2 weeks to $91, and my insurance didn't cover it. I was not willing to let $91 slide. The keys were left at the auto shop, in the auto shop's key box. That key box was not open at 7 AM when the rental car company went to get the car. When I went around 9 AM to drop my car off, the auto shop opened the box for me and gave me the rental car keys. Rental car people appeared a few minutes later. That one was really satisfying, I enjoyed that one. Next post is by New Voice 2040. In order to request time off, I must fill out a sheet directly below the schedule posted in the break nook that all employees can see, and it asks for the reason why I need the time off. I don't need every single person in the company knowing my personal business, so I never filled that spot in, and was reprimanded for it and refused the time off. I was told I had to give a reason. Enter malicious compliance. I started getting very specific about completely false reasons. Random Tuesday dentist appointment? Yep. Gambling addiction counseling. That Friday I can't work because I'm just sick of this place and I need a mental health day? For sure. Testicular cancer screening. Today I was asked to stop filling in the reason box. Fair. Anyone that needs to read testicular cancer screening on your reason sheet is not having a fulfilled life. That must be so unnecessary. This next post is by Mango123456. Restaurant employee amuses himself, delights me and my kids. Yesterday I decided to take my kids to an international chain restaurant. In this restaurant, the kids' meal comes with ice cream, but you have to serve yourself. That was a problem because there weren't any bowls besides the ice cream machine. So I thought, I know what to do. I'll simply ask an employee for some bowls. And that's just what I did. So he turns to look at the vast array of bowls behind him, some sauce-sized, some entry salad-sized, and many in between, and we realise that neither of us knows what size the kids' ice cream is intended to be. So he thought, I know what to do, I'll simply ask a manager. And he says, hey boss, what do we put the kids' ice cream in? Without turning around, the boss says, a effing bowl, what do you think? Yeah, but what size of bowl? The boss, with his inimitable charm, tact and grace, says, just effing give him a bowl. The employee looks back at the bowls, and then I saw him get a big grin over his face. I apologise about that, sir. I think it's probably these ones, he says, as he hands me two of the largest bowls they have in the restaurant, practically giggling with glee. My children were similarly delighted. The manager walked by when we were halfway through and made a noise like a startled opossum, but said no actual words. Definitely going back there. W restaurant worker right there. This next post is by Earthshaker495. I demand to be put in a seat that is able to recline. A few years ago, I was on a flight from LA to Singapore, takes 16 plus hours. I'm a tall dude, around 6'3", 190 centimeters, so I don't fit very well in economy class seats. On most planes, my knees are often very close or right up against the seat in front of me. This makes it impossible for the person in front of me to recline their seat, which usually isn't a problem once the person in front of me sees how cramped I am in these tiny seats. However, for this particular flight, the man in front of me was not having it. He tried to recline his seat, but couldn't because my legs were there. He turns around and sees what's happening and asks me something along the lines of, do you mind letting me put my seat back? I respond with, I wish I could, but I physically can't. I'll do my best to give you as much space as I can, but it won't be much. At this point he starts to get angry and just starts pushing as hard as he can on his seat. Needless to say, this was not particularly pleasant for me. I ask him to please stop and he says, I'll stop when I can put my seat back. I decide I'll just wait him out, he'll eventually get tired. After about 10 or 15 minutes of this, he calls a flight attendant over and proceeds to demand a new seat. The flight attendant tells him there are no available seats and he will have to deal with it. He demands to speak to the pilot. So the flight attendant goes up front to talk to the cockpit. Keep in mind that throughout this, he is still pressing with all his might against my knees, with only short breaks to yell at the flight attendant. After a couple of minutes, the co-pilot, he wanted to speak to the pilot and wasn't happy about this, comes back and tries to explain to the man that he can't change seats because there are no other coach seats free. The man continues to demand a seat that is able to recline, give me an upgrade, this is unacceptable, making a scene, etc. The co-pilot finally gives in and says while looking at the man, Sir, would you like to sit up in business class? The man stands up and mutters something similar to, effing finally, to which the co-pilot responds, Sir, sit down, I wasn't talking to you. He turns to me and repeats, How would you like a seat in business class? I have to this day never seen someone as furious as the man as I walked past him with my new business class seat with free drinks. The top comment reads, The pilot made the right call. I hope to hell he had an ass-eating grin while saying it, and you two giggled all the way to business class. That was lovely. I'd love to get free drinks on a flight like that. Now that is treating your customers well. This next post is by Soft Pockets. The end to a free decade of Netflix. Between 8 and 10 years ago, I received an email welcoming me to Netflix. That was a bit concerning, since I hadn't signed up, so I contacted the company. They told me someone must have accidentally used my email when they created an account. Our last names were the same and our first initial. I said, "Oh, no problem. You must have additional contact information for them besides my email. Could you please remove my email from the account and let them know so they can fix?" Well, immediately that was a big problem for Netflix, and well, no, they couldn't remove the email because it was the only one they have for the account, and how did they even know that it was mine? I said, "Give me your email address and start talking. I will email you the words as they come out of your mouth." That wasn't good enough for proof somehow. More likely, I was in the other person's Gmail account asking to not have Netflix. What they finally ended up doing was changing the account password so that when the customer went to log back in, they wouldn't be able to and would need to do a password reset by calling Netflix, and then they would confirm the email address. I kept getting Netflix emails, so that didn't work. I called again, same again, didn't work. I changed the password several times myself because I could use the forgot password function and get an email to reset it. That didn't work. I don't know how they kept getting the new password without updating an email address, and I didn't really care at this point. For the last 8 to 10 years, I've had Netflix on everything I own. I have signed in on hotel televisions, used it on my phone, my Xboxes, my kid uses it. I only ever signed in under family and told him to do the same. The entire history in family is us. The other logins, Fred, Softy, and Lila, accumulated history. I would occasionally look because curious. Never did a single news show appear in the family watch history that wasn't because of me. Well, I woke up this morning to an email from Netflix telling me that this email address was no longer associated with that account, and if I had any questions, etc. Thank you, Softy. It has been an amazing run, and I am not sure why you gave me free Netflix for the last decade, but I think you are amazing. The top comment reads, "I've got the same problem with some email tied to some little old lady's home shopping network account. She's recently taken up watercolors. I'm glad she's got a hobby." That was kinda sweet and wholesome towards the end there, wasn't it? This next post is by Progressive Badger. Owner refused to let me do jury duty. This was back in the 80s. My first job working as a maintenance man at a local hotel. I'd been working there part-time since I was 16, and when I turned 18, I got a notice to attend jury duty. I picked a week and I let my boss know. The owner of the hotel found out. He was always a completely unreasonable jerk to all the employees, and sees me in the hallway and tells me that I need to do whatever it takes to get out of jury duty because he needs me at that hotel that week for a large dog show, clogged drains, etc. And if I'm not at work, I'm fired. When I get to jury duty day 1, I get selected to a week-long trial, and the judge asks jurors if there's any reason we can't serve on the jury. They go round. When they get to me, I'm nervous. Never been in court before, and too scared to lie. I tell the judge that the owner of the business I work at will fire me if I'm not back today, and said I needed to do everything I can to get out of jury duty or I'm fired. Other than that, I'm fine serving. The judge looks peed. The judge has me approach the bench, asks me for the name of the owner, location, etc. Then he hands the court officer a paper and says something to the officer. The judge still looks peed. I'm told to return to the jury box. About an hour later, still selecting a jury, the officer returns with the owner, visibly shaken, in handcuffs, and walk to the front of the judge's bench. The owner is standing in front of the judge. The judge asks him questions which he apologetically tries to worm out of. Then the judge looks even more peed, instructs him that I will be here for jury duty, I will serve as long as I need to, and he should not do anything to retaliate against me, and that the judge is filing charges and will be instructing the clerk to check in with me regularly, and if, for any reason, I am fired or face any disciplinary action at work, he will hold the owner in contempt, violation of a court order, etc. A bunch of legal stuff. and he will spend time behind bars thinking about how important jury duty is. Then the judge makes him apologise to me in court. I made it onto the jury and I served the week. I reported back to work the following week. I expected some blowback, but I never got fired. None of my shifts were changed and I got paid for my time in jury. I didn't ask why I got paid. The clerk did check back a few times and I was told to call the judge's clerk direct phone number if anything happened. It was awesome. I was pretty much bulletproof and worked until I saved enough to go back to school. That sounds awesome. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, OP. Go you. W moment. This next post is by CrackSnap7. You want the exact amount? You get the exact amount. When I was 13 or 14, I decided I wanted a PS3. My dad refused to buy me one, but my uncle made me an offer I couldn't refuse. He said that if I worked at his sweets shop for the 2 months of summer break, he would buy me a PS3 and some games in lieu of payment. For teenage me with no commitments, this seemed fantastic. My uncle sold a kind of specialty snack known as a mini samosa in his shop. They are like samosas, but smaller, about 3 to 5 to 4 centimeters in size. About a 2,286th of a football field for my American friends. They were sold by weight in sealed packs of 250 grams and 500 grams, as these were the most common amounts people bought. Making those packages turned out to be my job. You see, sometime between now and when my uncle started his business, he realized that the 250 grams was roughly the weight of 28 mini samosas, and thus 56 were 500 grams. So instead of weighing each packet, I was told to just pack by counting individual items, which was easier and saved time. We also sold them individually for people who wanted larger, smaller, or unusual amounts. This was also around the time when our government started airing customer awareness PSAs. Basically, just telling customers to be aware of fraudulent business people. This is relevant. So one particularly hot afternoon, it was just me and my uncle at the shop. In India, frequent power cuts were very common during summers, and thus there were no fans or AC running. Both tempers and temperatures were running high at the shop that day. It was then that the villain of our story, Mr. Karan, made his entry. He was a local resident at Regular. He seemed angry from the onset when he barged into the shop. He took a look at the fans and saw that they weren't running, then angrily picked up a 500 gram pack of samosas and asked, "How many samosas are in this thing?" "That's 500 grams, I said. "I said how many, not how much." Mr. Karan literally screamed, again, "How many is in this?" 56, I replied immediately since, I packed them. "How can you be so sure? You didn't even count, you're trying to cheat me." Mr. Karan was now in full-scale Karen mode. "I demand you pack me 500 grams of those individual ones and don't you dare cheat me again." I looked over at my uncle, wet with sweat, fanning himself with yesterday's newspaper. He slowly nodded. I beamed a huge smile. "Sure sir, whatever you want." So I took a bag, picked up some samosas and started putting them on the balance. I kept counting as I put them in until they were a little over 500 grams. Then I removed the last samosa, and the weight fell below 500. Now keeping eye contact with Mr. Karan, I crushed the samosa and started putting its powdery remains in the bag until it was exactly 500 grams. But wait, there's more! Mr. Karan apparently didn't seem to mind powdered samosa, but instead asked smugly, "So how many samosas now?" 48, I claimed triumphantly. You see, sometime in the past, my uncle's old chef retired and the new chef made samosas with a little bit more filling in them. They looked the same size on the outside and only weighed a couple of grams more each, and since he made them in bulk, and also sold them to other shops in the area, the price wasn't too much of an issue, so my uncle let it slide. But those couple of grams added up on mass orders, and that is what Mr. Karan found out the hard way. He looked sheepishly at the pre-packed samosas and then at his own package and asks if he could buy the former instead. "No, my nephew made a package specially for you at your own request, so this is what you have to buy," my uncle finally spoke. Mr. Karan silently took his pack, paid and left. He was a lot more respectful during his subsequent visits. I was reminded of this story yesterday when my PS3 finally died. As evident, English is not my first language. In fact, it's not even my third, so please excuse any mistakes. Wow, no, your English is so good. Actually, I think this is better English than most of the posts on this subreddit. That is really good English. Good job, man. Good job, OP. And that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stories in r/MaliciousCompliance. Let me know what you'd like to listen to next in the comment section below. And also hit that subscribe button because I post new Reddit content every single day. My name is Trey, this was Reload Reacts, and I will see you in the next video.